Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Like the Amazing, Spectacular, Terrific, the Great One, the People's Champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut 3, and hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. So we're getting close to 500 subscribers, meaning, for me, there's a possibility that you could be sending me super thanks. We're getting close to it, but the one thing we find on the internet is people hate everybody. I hate you, you hate me. I don't hate anybody other than Joe Benenga, by the way, of WFAN. But a broadcasting legend said something rather interesting. And talking about the media and talking about the internet. You know, we all know the internet makes things very impersonal. People don't talk the way they should. You know, they talk very strange. Your host doesn't. This is how I talk. This is how I talk all the time. But some people aren't real on the internet. So a lot of times you have these weird conversations, and people like everybody thinks they're a comedian. You know, other than your host, I know I'm funny, but that's besides the point. But you see this sort of heartlessness that you see online, you know, and it can be a bit much. There's a lot of times, to be honest with you, I block a lot of accounts that don't interact with me, but I'll read some of the comments, and it's like, what's wrong with you, you know? And but we have Al Michaels. Al Michaels, I guess he did an interview. This from Barra Media. Headline: Al Michaels' sports media coverage is more heat than light. With the internet now, and social media or anti-social media, it's like everybody hates everybody. I don't hate everybody. I just hate Joe Benengo, and it has nothing to do with the internet. Veteran broadcaster Al Michaels has never pretended that longevity sports media comes without blemishes. During a recent appearance on the Dan Le Batard show, now I would mention I did a video on him. You know, I read this article, this like column that Barra Media posted. It is probably one of the funniest videos I've done ever, and probably or at least one of the funniest videos I haven't done in a long time. So I guess I'll put the link in the description of this video so you can watch it. Or just some of the way the article's written, it's pretty good. The longtime NFL play-by-play voice offered a candid assessment of his career, the criticism that follows it, and an industry he believes has changed dramatically in both tone and purpose. Michaels, now calling games for Prime Video NFL, acknowledged that perfection has never been a realistic standard, even for someone whose resume spans more than 5 decades and thousands of broadcasts. I mean, he got his start with the Cincinnati Reds. He was covering the Reds in the early 70s, mid-70s, and was the voice of the Big Red Machine. Of course, big in the NFL. He used to do the MLB games on ABC. I mean, I think of his broadcasts, especially with the baseball, were great. He described himself as meticulous and deeply invested in accuracy, also conceding that mistakes are inevitable when the sample size is that large. I would say I learned a lot from Al Michaels watching the football games, because he would always get, no matter what was going on in the field, he always knew who had the penalty, or which side had the penalty. Just eagle eye. It's incredible. I've always been a stickler for trying to get everything right, Michael said. Have I? Of course not. I've made tons of mistakes over the years. You can't do as many games as I've done and not make a ton of mistakes. The admission, however, was less about self-critique and more about perspective. Michael suggested that modern discourse often leaves little room for context or nuance, particularly when criticism is amplified and accelerated by digital platforms. He contrasted today's environment with an earlier era when evaluation was slower, more measured, and often rooted in a shared understanding of the craft. According to Michaels, the current sports media ecosystem frequently prioritizes volume and confrontation over insight. That's damn right. Well, it's the clickbait. That's what it is. It's just another word for clickbait, to be honest with you. And this goes across all the different topics that you find online. Quote, right now, a lot of it is, how can I make noise? How can I yell or scream? How can I get into an argument, Michael said. You've seen enough of these shows where, to me, it's more heat than light. And sometimes it's all heat and no light. Well, I agree with you. I agree with him, to be honest with you. I agree with this comment. If he was here, I'd say I agree with you, Al. But, I mean, look at some of the big personalities you see that are Met fans, like Frank Fleming. He screams. And half the time, most of the time, you can't understand what he's saying. He has a huge funnel, which is just insane. Not a lot of brain cells working, just to use him as an example. The evolution of Michael's view is being accelerated by the internet and social media, which have reshaped how audiences engage with sports and with each other. All those platforms that have expanded in access and participation. He believes they have also intensified hostility and tribalism, often at the expense of thoughtful conversation. Yeah, the hostility, certainly. I don't know about tribalism, but certainly hostility. I mean, really, a lot of hostility within the fan bases. That's the crazy thing. And some people can't get over the fact that certain things happen within a fan, within a team, and some people won't move on, Like people still harp about Tom Seaver getting traded. That's 50 years ago. People still harp about that. I hear that on Facebook and on here a little bit, With the internet and social media or anti-social media, it's like everybody hates everybody. It's like everybody loves Raymond. Everybody hates Raymond. Michaels was 81, joined Amazon Prime's NFL coverage after a storied run calling games for several networks. His move to streaming reflected both his enduring presence in the broadcast world and the growing competition among platforms to attract high-profile sports talent. I mean, he's the apex. I mean, he is the top dog. When it comes to calling games, he's top. He's the tops. I mean, really all time. Him, Pat Summerall, and a few other guys. Earlier this month, Michaels told Mad Dog Sports Radio that he will know when it's time for him to officially end his broadcasting career. Quote, I'll go as long as I can or I want to, Michaels told Chris Mad Dog Russo. But I have to be able to know that I can do the game at the level that satisfies me. I mean, he has every right to leave when he wants to leave, to be honest with you. I mean, if anybody has a right to go on his own terms, it's him. Like I said, he is in the pantheon of the football broadcasters, the football play-by-play guys. Like I said, him, Pat Summerall, just in terms of play-by. I'm sure there's others. I can't think of their names right now. I wouldn't go with Joe Buck. Joe Buck is he's not a patch. Not a patch in his fatty, but he is. Al Michaels, like I said, you learn a lot when you watch him and you listen to him and these broadcasts. It's always a special game. It's always a special game when he's broadcasting it. That's how you know when a broadcast is good. Is you get excited when he's doing the games, like with John Madden. When John Madden would do the game, with Pat Summerall, this was like heaven. You didn't have to worry about the game was in good hands. They weren't going to make mistakes, and if they did, they would adjust to it, and then they would laugh about it. But it's going to be a sad day when he retires. This is Al Michaels. It was sad when Pat Summerall retired, when John Madden retired. It was all sad when these guys hit the old dusty trail. But he does make a good point, and I think everybody knows that. And I would say you see this on, because my competitors with the baseball side and on the Mets side, a lot of them want to scream. They want to yell. They've been screaming like crazy all off season. But there was no yelling and screaming when the Mets lost. They're more about yelling and screaming about players, millionaire players not getting paid more millions of dollars. And that's the one thing. That's the one thing I'll say about your host. I'm not an advocate for $1 million people. People making millions of dollars, I'm not advocating for them. I can say I want them here, whatever, but I'm not going to scream and yell that they didn't get money from the Mets. And I don't work for the teams either, by the way. Teams do a lot of weird things as well. But I don't yell, I don't scream. That's what's different about this channel. But I am funny, and we have a lot. And really what I do online is much different than you see anywhere else. So thank you for watching this video. And, of course, hit the subscribe button for the Baseball Hut 3. We're almost there at the first monetization point. Need a few more subscribers. Hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.